Paul here for another video. This time around I want to talk about the Prophecy deck and its, place in the current meta. We all know that the Dragon deck has been, dominating tournaments as well as Prophecy, but everyone's all up on that Dragon hype. Not as much Prophecy hype, although it is considered, the best or the second best deck. Those are the tier 1 decks, Prophecy and Dragons. I kind of want to go through, where they started and where they are now, some cool tech ideas maybe, how to answer Prophecy, stuff like that. So why don't we just get into Fraser Smith's build that he ran at YCS New Jersey before, the new set was out. I screwed up on the deck list, so please ignore one card on the deck list for the rest of the video. Not sure if you can see my mouse because I'm using a new screen recorder, but let me click on this Star Hall. Okay, so I have 2 Star Halls in the following video, preceding this little clip. It actually is 1 Star Hall and 1 Spellbook of Life. So just keep that in mind. For some reason I screwed up on the list. Then I double checked it after because I was like, where's the life? And then I found it, and I was wrong. So at this point in the game, Water and Fire Fist were like really big decks. I'm kind of blanking on what else was super big at the moment. I don't think all that much, really. Prophecy was kind of an under-the-radar deck. It wasn't too long ago, so you probably all know this. Maxis and stuff. We're not going to be seeing that anymore. A lot of people were picking up Toon Table of Contents. They thought it'd be just the Stone Cold Nuts and Prophecies in conjunction with the new Spellbook of Judgment. So here's a quick glimpse at his deck. You notice High Priestess, people still thought this card would be good. Once Judgment Day came out, it turns out a lot of builds aren't even running Priestess now, so I want to get into Andrea Zenari. Sorry if I slaughtered his name. He came in 2nd place in Italy. This was a very interesting build. He was piloting a lot of different choices, and it actually made complete sense. And I have a feeling if you're going to be facing any Prophecy decks at the WCQ near you, whether it be in the US or somewhere in Europe, then yeah, this is probably going to be the best route to be going. And if I were playing this deck, I would probably go with a route similar to this, with no High Priestess, a small monster count, mostly relying on Jougans, Kaikus, and Spellbook Magician. Maybe some other tech, I'm not sure. I know a lot of people say Eradicator can just demolish this deck, and while it is true, this it can still come back thanks to Towers and Star Halls. So let's get into the single monsters one at a time. First of all, you have Jougan. Jougan is just the perfect answer to the meta, really. It's not going to be doing too much in the mirror match, so much, but Dragon Rulers, if you get out Jougan first, they're going to be having a hard time, especially if you have a backup spell to remove it, like a Fate or a Wing Blast or Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, something like that. They're going to have some trouble getting over the Jougan. And especially in Game 2, if you can get that early start, drop the Jougan, they can't even Eradicator you because they're not going to be able to summon a guy that they can eradicate unless they side Fusler. Next up is Kaiku. It's good in the mirror match. They can't use Fate. They can't use High Priestess in the graveyard, say if they want to, stuff like that. 1800 beater. It gets even bigger with Star Hall and stuff. It's really, really good against dragons. They can only remove from their hand. They can't actually remove from their graveyard, so that's pretty big. And then, of course, the Spellbook Magician, which searches any Spellbook card you want, except itself, because it's Spellbook spell card. Book of Moon is just kind of another trap card that can do some neat tricks with Magician of Prophecy. Heavy Storm, I'm not sure if I agree with this. Spellbook of Wisdom and Fate can kind of be pseudo Heavy Storm in a sense. Fate more so MST, but Wisdom can really stop them from anything they would do with their spells and traps anyway. And I just don't agree with Heavy. right now. It doesn't do enough. Maybe I decided though. Crescent was just the best idea ever. Whoever, I'm not sure if Andrea actually thought of this idea. Maybe his team or some of his friends did. But whoever thought about running this was just brilliant, really. It's a great choice, and yeah. So, if you don't know what it does, let's take a second to read it. If you have no spellbook cards in your graveyard, reveal 3 spellbook spell cards with different names from your deck. Your opponent randomly adds one of them to your hand and shuffle the rest back into your deck. You can only activate 1 Spellbook Library of Crescent per turn. You cannot activate other spell or traps that... You cannot activate any spell cards the turn you activate this card except spellbook cards. So you're normally going to want to get, your search spells, maybe a Spellbook of Power. You definitely want to pick secrets in there most of the time, and Master, because Master can actually use Crescent even though you have Spellbook cards in the graveyard, because Master only uses, it doesn't need its requirements, it just needs to resolve the effect, or something like that. So yeah, usually we're going to want to get search cards, whether it be Judgment or Secrets or Master. It's good. It's really good early game. When you can cast it, it makes the deck more consistent early game where it wants to be consistent. If that makes sense. Eternity is just a really good card to reuse your cards. It's pretty much just another spell to be activating in your loop per the turn for the Judgment, which can do some serious damage. Obviously, Spellbook of Fate is just a very versatile card. Answer to everything, pretty much. Great card. I don't know if I'd run 3. I'd think about running 3. And same with Eternity. I might run 2 of that. I'm not sure. I'm sure this deck's going to change a lot. This was maybe a week or 2 ago that this guy ran this, so things change quickly. Judgment. I'm not going to explain this card. 3 power. That's a lot. I would probably run 1 if I were to run this deck. Maybe 2. Starhall does a great job of it kind of does the same thing as power, but better. I would definitely run 3 Starhall in my initial build. I'm running 3 right now, for instance. 3 Secrets, another obvious card. I'm not going to go over it. Master lets you reuse all your normal spells. It's just really good with Judgment. Even on its own, you get 2 searches a turn pretty much with Master and Spellbook of Secrets. That can be pretty nutty. But combined with Judgment, that's just GG. Spellbook of Wisdom, just protect you, really. Starhall doesn't seem like a good card, but I mean, think about it this way. So, all your creatures, you have 7 monsters. That's not a lot, first of all. So you're gonna have to utilize them the best you can. And what's good about this is you kind of have a lot more than 7 monsters, because you can really search out these Prophecy Magicians with all your search spells. Sorry, that's my email. So Spellbook Starhall, you're going to be activating a lot of spells, and your creatures are going to get a big boost, and it's definitely going to be game changing. Whoa, lots of emails. Yeah, definitely going to be game changing. If you have multiple Starhalls, your creatures are going to be really big, and maybe you can beat your opponent with just 2 Spellbook Magicians. Because believe it or not, the counters add up fast. You're never going to run out of spell cards thanks to Tower and all the recycle. Next up is the 2 Tower. You just want to be recycling your spells. 3 Upstart Goblin. Not the best turn one, say you have a Crescent, but it still is really good. It just makes your deck smaller pretty much, and it does its job with Judgment. 2 Phoenix Wing Blast. The reason behind this, I would guess, is because of Crescent. Your first one's live, your other 2 are dead, most of the time. So what are you going to do with these dead Crescents? Jowgen, maybe? Yeah, that's a possibility, even though it's a random discard. But Wing Blast can really utilize the dead cards that you have in your hand. It can fuel your graveyard. It's just a removal to anything, pretty much. It sets your opponent back. It's just a really tempo-based card, and that's what this deck needs. Protect your Kaiko, protect your Jowgen, do your random stuff. That's game. And finally, you got the 2 Solemns. interesting choices. Not sure how I feel about them, but trap cards are always good. You're always going to have a lot of cards end phase, so you're going to want to have some cards to set. I actually really like Wing Blast. I would try 3. I don't know what I would cut. Maybe one of these two. Onto the extra deck. I'm not going to really explain much there. So, we all know about this Prophecy deck by now. It's good, etc., etc. No Priestess is a big change to the deck. It kind of dictates the format in a sense. Ophion is not as powerful as it used to be. I actually just don't think Evil Swarms are. They used to be alright, but you know, now Dragons has. Everyone knows about Psi-Blocker, so Psi-Blocker is going to be stopping Ophion left and right. And then Prophecy doesn't even summon High Priestess, so Ophion does nothing against this deck except be big. But my guys can be big too because I can activate all my spell cards. And sure, you can activate in the Ophion deck, Evil Swarms. They don't have a lot of like actual trap cards. They just have compulses, which really don't do too much against this deck. Like, sure, you can compulse my monster and get a hit in, but I'm just going to drop it next turn, and I'm going to do some damage to you. So, I recommend you guys give this a try. I've noticed Elemental Dragons is just a really complicated deck. If you don't have the time to, concentrate on Elemental Dragons, or you don't have the money to afford Elemental Dragons, 2 reasonable reasons, this is the perfect deck. This deck's not too expensive. Probably going to cost you $250 maybe. I mean, that's kind of reasonable for a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. That's just a guess, by the way. I'm not exactly sure. It might be more, might be less. Yeah. So, I recommend you guys give this a try because it really is the perfect answer to the format. Aside from Elemental Dragons, they're both good. Don't get me wrong. This deck can really stop Elemental Dragons. And, Kaiku is really good in the mirror, so either or, you're going to be getting some good games in with a deck like this. Give it a shot, and let me know how it goes in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.